Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to sqadia.com. My name is Mohammad Usama, and today we are talking about the nervous system and its pathologies. In this specific lecture, we are going to talk about the congenital diseases of the nervous system. So we are going to talk about the neural tube defects, the torch complex, and hydrocephalus as well. So let's start off with the congenital disorders. What are the different type of commonly known or seen congenital disorders related to the nervous system include the neural tube defects, the torch complex, the hydrocephalus, the Arnold Chiari malformation, the agenesis of corpus callosum, and fetal alcohol syndrome. So let's start off with neural tube defects. What are the neural tube defects? So these are actually a group of disorders characterized by the failure of closure of the neural tube. This neural tube in the embryological stage develops into the complete nervous system. So the failure of its closure can result in different type of diseases or disorders that may result in different type of manifestations, as well as we're going to look at the upcoming slides. So this results in a different type of neurological symptoms as well, and the resulting defects can involve either the vertebra or the spinal column, or it can also involve the skull with or without the involvement of the meninges, which are actually the connective tissue coverings of the spinal cord and brain, and as well as it can also involve the spinal cord and brain, or it may not involve them as well. These are conditions, or the neural tube defects are characteristically associated with alpha fetoprotein in the amniotic fluid or the maternal serum. And these neural tube defects have also been associated with maternal folic acid deficiency. So that is perhaps one of the reasons that folic acid supplements are given to pregnant females or mothers. So if we look at this slide, we can see that there's a diagrammatic representation of different type of neural tube defects which can occur. So first of all, we have craniorachisis, in which there is actually a completely open brain and spinal cord and is completely exposed. It is one of the most severe type of neural tube defects. Secondly, we have the anencephaly, in which there is an open brain and lack of skull vault, as you can see here in this picture. Then we have an encephalocele, in which there is, you can see, an outgrowth, which is actually because of the herniation of the meninges, which are actually connective tissue coverings of the brain, and they can also be perhaps the herniation of the brain tissue itself as well. Then there is anencephaly, in which there is occipital skull and spine defects, and there is a resultant extreme retroflexion of the head, which is the head goes backwards in extension. Talking about the neural tube defects at the level of the spine, we have the spina bifida occulta, which is a comparatively common neural tube defect, and in this there is actually a asymptomatic neural tube defect, and in which there is an involvement of some of the vertebra which are not completely closed or fused. So at those sites, you can say that the cauda equina or the spinal cord is actually exposed. Then there is actually a closed spinal dysraphism, in which there is a deficiency of at least or a minimum of 2 vertebral arches, which results in exposure of the spinal cord or the you can say cauda equina at those levels. And here in this picture, we can also see there is also the presence of lipoma. Then there is a meningocele, in which there is a protrusion of the meninges similar to encephalocele, and that meningocele or that protrusion is filled with cerebrospinal fluid, and it can be through a defect in the skull or in the spine. And then there is the myelomeningocele, in which there is an open spinal cord with a meningeal cyst. So the difference between meningocele and the myelomeningocele is that the spinal cord is in its area, it is in its spinal canal, and it's not present in this cyst. But In myelomeningocele, there are the meninges in this cyst along with the cerebrospinal fluid, but the spinal cord itself is also present in this cyst instead of the spinal column. So that is the difference between the meningocele and myelomeningocele. Now, what is the torch complex? Torch complex is actually abbreviation which stands for Toxoplasma, rubella, cytomegalovirus, and herpes simplex virus, because it is because of a group of infections which are transmitted from the mother during the pregnancy to the fetus, and the fetus then exhibits similar kind of clinical manifestations as the mother. These torch complex infections involve the skin, the heart, the eyes, and the central nervous system. That is why it is also characterized as nervous system pathology. So there is the resultant there's a resultant chorioretinitis, which is actually the inflammation of the choroid plexus in the ventricles of the brain as well as the retina of the eye. As you can see here, there is actually retinitis, inflammation of the retina in the eye. And there is also a characteristic microcephaly, which is the small skull or the small head in the child or the infant. And there's also focal cerebral calcification, resulting in different type of neurological disorders and mental retardation. Now, the second, another important condition is the hydrocephalus, in which there is an increased volume of cerebrospinal fluid within the cranial cavity, which means within the skull. So it is found in infants, which is commonly associated with enlargement of the skull because the sutures of the skull have not been fused in infants. So due to the increased volume of the CSF, the skull size also increases. So these children have a large skull or a large head. It is usually caused due to the obstruction of the cerebrospinal fluid circulation by mechanisms such as congenital malformations, inflammation, or even because of tumors. This can also result from increased production of the cerebrospinal fluid by choroid plexus. So it is not necessary that hydrocephalus is only because of the obstruction of the CSF. It can also be because of increased production. So there are different types of hydrocephalus, namely the internal hydrocephalus, external hydrocephalus, communicating hydrocephalus, and non-communicating hydrocephalus. So internal hydrocephalus is that type of hydrocephalus in which there is increased cerebrospinal fluid entirely within the ventricles of the brain. External hydrocephalus, there is increased CSF confined to the subarachnoid space and not essentially within the ventricles. In communicating hydrocephalus, there is a free flow of cerebrospinal fluid between ventricles and subarachnoid space, and it can be either because of the increased production of the CSF by the choroid plexus. And in the non-communicating hydrocephalus, there's an obstructed flow from the ventricles to the subarachnoid space. Now, there's another important condition which is known as the Arnold Chiari malformation, and these Chiari malformations are actually structural defects or malformations in the cerebellum, which results in a downward displacement of the cerebellar tonsils and medulla through the foramen magnum, as you can see here in this picture. So this is the normal cerebellum and the medulla oblongata here, and here you can see they are displaced inferiorly, and thus it is also resulting in the compression of the neurological parenchymatous tissue of the cerebellum and the medulla. So it results in pressure atrophy of the displaced brain tissue, and it can also result in hydrocephalus because of the obstruction of the cerebrospinal fluid because of this compression. It is also characterized by the presence of a thoracolumbar meningomyelocele in these patients as well. Now, another condition or the congenital malformation is the agenesis of the corpus callosum. So, an agenesis of the corpus callosum is a rare birth defect, and there is actually a complete or partial absence of the corpus callosum, and it occurs when the corpus callosum, or which is actually the band of the white matter which does not have cell bodies, but it is actually consisted of the nerve fibers, and it transmits messages from one hemisphere to the another. And the band of the white matter connecting the two hemispheres in the brain fails to develop normally, so that is why it has been given the name agenesis, and it typically occurs during pregnancy. So this is the normal corpus callosum, and with its normal structures including the rostrum, genu, body, isthmus, and splenium. So if you look at this picture here, so there is actually the absence or malformation or the agenesis of the corpus callosum. And if you look at this picture here, you can see that there is a characteristic moose-like appearance, like the face of a moose, which is an animal. Other than that, fetal alcohol syndrome, in which the mother during pregnancy had a lot of or consumes a lot of alcohol, so this results in thiamine deficiency as well. So facial abnormalities and developmental defects such as microcephaly, atrial septal defect, mental and growth retardation, and other abnormalities can occur because the fetal alcohol syndrome, due to the increased consumption of alcohol by the mother, can result in malnutrition of the mother, as well as resulting in the abnormal development in the fetus or the child as well. So that was all about the congenital disease of the nervous system, in which we talked about the hydrocephalus, neural tube defects, Torch complex, and many other conditions which are congenital. So I hope it was beneficial for you. So stay tuned to sqadia.com for more lectures like this, and thank you very much.